Hi everyone, I'm Paige Abbott, and this is your weekly recovery message for the week of September 18th, 2016. The topic that I thought I would jump into this week is boundaries. This is a really challenging topic for people with regards to relationships because it relates to how to be assertive and basically advocate for yourself in a relationship. The one thing that I want to say about boundaries, there's lots that could be talked about with this topic, but the primary thing I want to convey today is how boundaries are internal and they're set by you for you. That's where a lot of people get confused with boundaries, is they start to project their boundaries onto somebody else. For example, you cannot treat me this way. I will not accept verbal abuse or name calling from you, so you need to stop that. A lot of people think that that's an appropriate boundary, but unfortunately, that is actually control because you are depending on that other person to change and modify their behavior. More realistically, what a boundary needs to look like is internally you're saying, okay, I am not going to accept verbal abuse or name calling from this other person, so I need to be prepared with a plan of action for what I'm going to do if that happens again. So quite often what this will look like is simply removing oneself from a conversation, leaving the room, changing the topic, or you can advocate for yourself and verbally say, I'm not willing to accept this name calling or this behavior, but then likely it will be appropriate to leave that conversation at least temporarily so both of you can calm down and then you can come back and have a more productive conversation later on in time. So I hope that you can understand the idea that boundaries are not dependent on another person. Another person cannot enforce your boundaries or even follow through on your boundaries. You can request behavioral changes from other people, but at the same time, you have to be prepared to take action to reinforce your own internal boundary, whatever that happens to be. And often, like I said, it will be not accepting particular changes of conversation, topics, name calling, things like that, which may mean changing the conversation or ultimately having to leave that conversation because it's just not safe or healthy for either of you. Moving forward, hopefully you can keep this in mind when you're struggling with relationships and trying to figure out what needs to change. With boundaries, remember, they're set by you for you. And the only person who can reinforce your boundary is you. That's all from my perspective. I wish you the best in your ongoing recovery for the next week, and I will talk to you next week. Bye for now.